Today's startup is on track to be valued at over $1 billion. Mark Cuban invested in them when they entered into the Shark Tank, and I invested in them when no one even knew who they were. In today's startup deal breakdown, I'm going to share how myself and other investors inside of my membership invested in the alcohol company called Beatbox Beverage. I'm going to share why I selected them and all of the details behind that. And I'm going to show how they could sell for billions of dollars in the very near future, potentially return a massive payday for everyone who invested in them. Let's dive in. Here's today's deal breakdown. Beatbox Beverage was founded by 3 college students at the University of Austin down in Texas. I'm talking about Justin, Amy, and Brad. Now, they had a vision to create a ready-to-drink party punch that would appeal to 20-somethings who wanted a convenient and fun new alcohol drink. Now, if we fast forward 13 years later from when they started, Beatbox is completely disrupting the alcohol and beverage industry. They have built an entirely new category inside of the alcohol segment, which is not easy to do, and they are truly experiencing that first mover advantage in their space. Now, in the early days, the founders funded Beatbox by themselves by maxing out credit cards and running the business in their apartment. They transparently have shared multiple times how it was one of the hardest things they have ever done in their lives. In fact, the company came close to completely shutting down multiple times over the years, but these scrappy founders kept finding ways to keep the lights on and keep the engine moving down the track. Then came one of the biggest decisions that they have ever made in company's history. They applied for and then got accepted to appear on Shark Tank. Now, when they entered the tank, Brad, Amy, and Justin, they pitched the Sharks and asked for $1 million in return for 10% equity in their company. And the shark that jumped on it was Mark Cuban. Mark loved their scrappy story and saw major potential in the brand. Now, maybe it had something to do with the Texas connection, I don't know, but look, he decided to invest a full $1 million, valuing Beatbox at a $10 million valuation at the time. Now, from there, Mark Cuban's investment took Beatbox to the very next level. With his capital and, more importantly, his guidance, they rapidly started to grow. Revenue grew so well that they hit around $7.5 million a year in sales by 2020. But where have they come even over the last few years? It has truly been amazing. In 2023, Beatbox Beverage did over $100 million in sales for the 1 year alone. Get this. They're projected to do around $237 million in 2024. They are a fast-moving rocket ship. Now, Cuban, he has been key at helping Beatbox with partnerships with major chains like Target and Walmart and Kroger, and getting on all of these shelves nationally was not an easy thing to do. Now, in a business like this, distribution is everything, and with Cuban's connections, Beatbox was able to go from a couple hundred stores to over 10,000 stores and growing. They are nationwide now. Now, when I met the 3 founders of Beatbox back in 2020, they still needed more cash to continue to grow their operations and see their dream fulfilled. And that's when they decided to raise money from everyday investors like you and from me, from the crowd. So my team and I dove into the numbers, and let's be honest, we asked the hard questions. We dove into their plan for profitability, which is always important to try and figure out. We looked at their growth plan. We searched through countless spreadsheets of data to see what they were doing with their money. Were they being reasonable with it? Were they being strategic with it? And then, well, I flew to their headquarters and I met them in person. Boots on the ground, went and shook their hands because I wanted to see them face to face. Now, I'll often get asked, did you invest because Cuban invested? Now, that was a nice value add, but look, we have a process, and before I ever invest in any startup, I want to make sure they have a solid plan, a solid team, and ultimately a solid exit strategy to return my money and anybody who might invest right alongside me. Now, our due diligence process is very extensive, and it's something that I'm truly very proud of. So after my team finished all of the due diligence, everything we saw, well, it looked promising. So then we decided to invest in them. Now, they raised around $1 million at a $60 million valuation. Now, this included everyday investors, some who invested for as little as a couple $100, which I think is so cool. A potential billion-dollar company, and some investors got to put in just a few $100. Really, really neat. This is why I love the world of equity crowdfunding so much. Look, it opens the doors for everyday investors to be a part of the amazing startup world. Startups like Beatbox Beverage. So what does all of this mean for those who invested in that same round alongside of me? Well, the story is still being written, of course, but with Beatbox Beverage doing around $100 million last year, that should put their current valuation inside the ballpark of around $700 to $750 million. Now, this means that valuation increased not just for the company, but also for those who invested in the early stages. Of course, look, we all know the markets can change. Perhaps their business stumbles along the way. But currently, right now, as we sit and record this, Beatbox and their team are poised to hit $1 billion in annual revenue by around 2028, which is amazing. And if that is the case, it could mean that they could garner a valuation of close to $5 to $7 billion or higher when it comes to somebody buying them down the road, which would be amazing for everybody who invested. Now, time will tell how this all plays out, of course, but if they did sell for those sorts of numbers, they would be the most successful startup in the history of equity crowdfunding. I know. I'm hoping for that to happen. And I'm sure those who invested alongside me are hoping for that to happen, but we will have to see. I don't have a crystal ball, but they are on track doing some really neat things. Beatbox Beverage is a story about how scrappy young founders disrupted a huge established industry with the right product, with the right partnerships, and let's be honest, with some amount of luck. By now, I'm guessing you're starting to see why I love finding and investing in startups. This is just one example. There are multiple startups that are doing great things, and I'm gonna continue to bring you more of those along the way. But maybe you're new to this world of startup investing. You're just finding out that it's possible for you to invest in startups. Well, if that's the case, welcome. We're really glad you're here. With laws that changed in 2016, it made it possible for anyone to become a startup investor, which I think is so exciting. And since I began my startup investing journey back in 2019, I've invested in 25 plus disruptive companies like the one I share with you today, and I love helping others do the exact same thing. So here, very soon, I'm going to be sharing a deep dive masterclass, and I've put together for you. I'm going to pull back the curtains on this exciting world of startup investing, what I look for, what I love inside of startups. I think you're absolutely going to enjoy it. And also, I'm going to share how you can invest right alongside me in the startups that I'm investing in. So here's what you need to do. Keep your eye out on your inbox, and I'm going to be sending it to your way here very, very soon once it's all finished, wrapped up. I think you're going to enjoy it. So until next time, take care. And thank you so much for watching this episode of Startup Deal Breakdown, Beatbox Beverage Edition. Oh, and more importantly, thank you so much for being a part of this amazing community. Keep an eye out for your inbox. We're going to send that masterclass real soon.